Since it was such a lackluster week with me getting sick and all, and the lack of production on the channel, I wasn't really going to do a weekly update this week. But then I realized I'm not going to be doing one next week because I'm not going to be here. And I wouldn't deprive you guys of this for 2 weeks in a row. Hey, what's up, bookworms? Mike back with another weekly update. A short week on the channel, but still plenty of things to talk about. And we're just going to skip all that bullhooing. We're going to get right into it. Bullhooey, you like that word? Just made that up on the fly. Let's get into what am I reading? Well, first off, guys, I did finish reading Persepolis by Michael J. Sullivan. I did talk about it in my monthly wrap-up, and I actually gave this book my book of the month for the month of May. So obviously, you know how happy I was with the way that Mr. Sullivan was able to stick the landing. Again, guys, I've talked about it like crazy for the last week and a half on the channel. This is a fantastic series, and you can just take comfort in knowing that it sticks the landing really, really well, and you're going to be very happy if you go ahead and pick up Raya Revelations by Mr. Sullivan. I am very, very pleased with how it ended, and yeah, it's something I'm going to recommend to people, of all ages, no matter how much fantasy they've read or how little fantasy they've read. It's something I think is going to be welcoming to everybody. Even if you're not huge into fantasy, I think you would really rather enjoy that. Since I had like about a couple days before we started the House of Chains review, or read along, sorry, I mean, review just kind of just pops up whenever I talk on this channel. I decided, hey, how about this? I can go ahead and scoot this up because this is a quick little read here, and why not? I can fit this in with no problem. Yeah, I read this in a day. Guys, this wasn't, obviously that wasn't that big of a deal. I wanted to finally read some Neil Gaiman because all I've read by him was Sandman, so I wanted to get an actual novel by Neil Gaiman. Or do you really consider this a novel? I mean, I don't know. It's sold as a novel. Anyway, fantastic book. It's just very much a fairy tale, and I was one of those few people who hadn't seen the movie yet. I actually started it a couple times. I just never really finished it. So I wasn't poisoned by that. I'll talk about the movie here in a little bit because I did watch it after I finished the book. But very, very happy with this. I actually think this would be another one that's really good for young readers that are looking to get into fantasy. I think this would be a terrific place to start because, yeah, it's definitely welcoming for all ages. And it's a great time. I had a lot of fun with it, and I'm looking forward to continuing some Mr. Gaiman. A lot of people are pushing American Gods next. I'd still maybe like to do Good Omens because I did like the Amazon adaptation. And I figured that'll also give me a good idea of what Terry Pratchett is about if I ever decide to do Discworld. And with you guys always bagging on me to do Discworld, I probably will end up doing Discworld eventually. Even though I've already read this one a while back, I did continue reading Berserk. I just finished the very famous Golden Age arc today, and it's still processing, but I will just say briefly, guys, it's as advertised. People carry on about that arc for good reason. It's really good. I'm going to talk about it eventually on the channel. I just don't know quite when. We'll get into it here when I get into next week plans. I do have some plans for Berserk here down the road. And then, of course, on the 1st, we begin House of Chains. And guys, I'm going to tell you the feedback on this from the read-along right away. This is the most positive beginning to a Malazan book we've had yet. The first 4 chapters of this book do something that the series hasn't done yet, and it does it in a way that's so coherent and so easily digestible that it's actually phenomenal. So where I said that usually with these Malazan books I schedule about 3 weeks now to get through each of them, I mean, I've read 300 pages in the first 2 days. So yeah, it's that good. I know there are some people who are already halfway done. They're already into book 3. So it seems like as far as Malazan, I don't know if this is the moment where stuff starts clicking, or if it's just that narrative decision that he made at the beginning of this book really helped people ease into it a little more. But I'm enjoying it. There was an introduction to a new character that has a lot of people kind of said was controversial, but I think it seems like most people really like him. So it's actually been quite surprising, but the conversation is quite robust. I think everyone starting this on the 1st together has really helped It's one of those things that's very blatantly obvious now that that was a screw up on my behalf, but I'm glad that it does seem like it wasn't too late, and we do got everybody back on the same page here, and we're having a great time so far. And I'm looking forward to seeing where it goes, because like I said, I do feel like I have become a Seven Cities guy, and even though we just kind of got back into those characters, I definitely like the way that this book is going, and I'm looking forward to continuing here over the next week. That takes me obviously into what am I going to read. Obviously it's going to be all House of Chains until I am done. Yes, I am still kind of sprinkling in Berserk at the same time, just because, you know, sometimes it's not it doesn't require a lot of building up mental strength to read some manga like it does to read Malazan, you know. So while I won't be sharing any time with it in the form of novels, I will definitely be reading some Berserk. But actually, I'm at a stopping point in Berserk right now until I get some thoughts down on camera before I continue, because I got lots of thoughts about that. Look, I'm leaving for vacation on Wednesday. So there's going to be a video coming about that, about what I plan to do on the channel while I'm gone. Talk about that, but I do say that I have no plans, guys, on this vacation except to sit on the beach, read books, and drink a lot of alcohol. So that's really all the plans that I have for 7 days. In paradise. So I am taking House of Chains with me. I'm taking my next 2 books on my reading list. That is, of course, The Dark Tower 3, The Wastelands by Stephen King, continuing that for Into the Multiverse. And that is also my Dark Tower reread. First time I'm reading this book since I was 19, and that's not a coincidence, 19. And again, one of the coolest covers in all of the series there. Blaine, he's such a pain. And then if I continue to roll along there, I'll be beginning the Poppy War. Lots of people on the Discord are kind of loosely read along with me here. This is the last book I got planned for the month, but depending on how fast I read when I am on vacation, and not having any kids with us, it doesn't seem like it should be a problem. That's my plans. I don't know if I'll read 2.5 books while I'm there, but hey, what else do I got to do, like I said? So that really is kind of the plans here for what I'm going to read. What are you guys going to read? I love it when you guys drop in the comments, tell me what you're going to read. Let's talk about this week on the channel. Yes, I got my voice back. I did get my voice back, but my voice, I didn't really say I had like the voice crud or anything. I had a little bit of a head cold. Did a minor cough. It wasn't anything very serious, but what it was, it just kind of ruined my voice. It was really, really rough there for a couple days. Still kind of bassy right now, as you can hear, but just the difference between today and when I recorded that wrap up is completely night and day, in my opinion. I don't sound like Marge Simpson's sisters anymore, so that's a plus here. But I just only recorded one video this week. The May 2021 wrap up video was the only new video that I actually recorded over the week, and I just made the conscious decision. Look, I can talk, I can do this, but I'm going to sound terrible. And for me on this channel, it's always going to be quality over quantity. So, I dropped a message and just said, hey, all plans are on hold until my voice recovers. And people obviously are very understanding of this. They don't feel like I owe them anything. It's more of a thing where I like to have 3 or 4 new videos per week. It's just kind of how I am. So it was kind of tough making the decision to not record anything, but I think it was for the best, and it did help my voice recover a little faster. At least I think so. And then I did also put out though my why I decided to read Berserk. Now this I actually had recorded a couple of weeks ago. Actually, I had recorded about 24 hours before it was announced that Kentaro Miura had passed away. So instead of being one of those channels that are just kind of sleazy and decided to try to capitalize on something like that, I decided out of respect I was going to hold that video off for a couple weeks and kind of allow a mourning period. And then I did give a nice little intro into that and let people know that why I kind of held on to that, why I didn't mention his name, or actually I mentioned his name, why I hadn't mentioned his passing in that video is because, when I recorded, he was still with us. So I felt like I was very respectful to the source, and lots of good feedback. A lot of people appreciate that I did that. And that's, again, never anything that you're like looking for a pat on the back about. It was just something I wanted to do because I'm never going to be that channel, guys, who does stuff just because I know it's going to get clicks. That's not why I'm here. It's not the kind of channel I want to run. I want to, be respectful of artists and things like that. That's why even when I have a negative review, you'll never hear me just completely trash like an author or something like that, or tell them, hey, this is how you should have done it. I'm never going to be that guy. So I want to be, very, very gracious to creators who are providing all this entertainment for us, so I can provide entertainment for you. So without them, I wouldn't have anything to talk to you guys about. So there's more people aware of Berserk now than there ever has been. I mean, there's people like me who have never read a manga who are actually picking up for the first time. Now, that's obviously clearly, since I had already read the first 3 volumes before he passed, that wasn't what really spurred me to do it. But I do think that, there are a lot of people now that are considering giving it a try for the first time. And I'm going to be doing some coverage on the channel. I think that will maybe convince some people to maybe pick it up for the first time now that there are a lot more people interested in maybe giving it a try based off of all of the feedback about the man's legacy that we've heard. So if I can help with that in any way, obviously I do want to do that. So let's get into a little bit of next week plans, guys. I'm going to space some things out while I'm gone because I don't want to leave you guys with a week of absolutely nothing. So my plan this weekend is to record a lot ahead of time. I took last weekend off, obviously, to recover. So this weekend, that's basically all I've got planned to do. I'm going to try to get out some of the ones that I had already said I was going to do and haven't got to yet. Obviously, you're going to officially close Memories of Ice and do my character rankings. That's... not a big pain in the butt to do. I think the rankings will surprise some people, but we'll see. We'll see. I'm going to go ahead and push out my Eaters of the Dead review by Michael Crichton. I could probably do that right now because it's plenty of things to talk about. And again, as always, I'm going to do my book haul because, now that I have a P.O. box, I'm getting lots of interesting things that I want to say thank you for, obviously, but also show you guys because some of the stuff is just like, what? So you will see. But yeah, book haul for May 2021. Those are always a fun time and create a lot of conversation on the channel. I would like to begin my Into the Multiverse for the month, which, I wish I hadn't decided to do the one that has 4 stories in it. In a month where I'm going to be leaving for a week, because what I've decided to do is much like with my different seasons reviews where I did one for each story in there, I will be doing the same for 4 Past Midnight, and we'll be beginning with the Langoliers, and then we're going to take into Secret Garden, Secret Window when I get back from my trip. But Langoliers is one I think has been kind of misrepresented due to people's memory of that miniseries, which is just so weird because the story is still really, really good. And then another one that I've kind of already recorded because I like to record these thoughts before I move on to the next thing. It's like when I do my spoiler talks for Malazan, I like to record this before I move on to the next one because I don't want to influence how I feel about it. So I did record my thoughts for the Black Swordsman arc in Berserk before I moved on to the very famous Golden Age arc, because I had a feeling with the Golden Age arc was, okay, it's apparently so amazing, and obviously a cat out of the bag, I know this now, but I just had this idea if it was going to be so amazing, it was going to make me kind of look back and not remember how I felt about the Black Swordsman arc to kick off that series. So I wanted to get those thoughts down beforehand. So I did record those before I began the Golden Age arc. So that'll be an easy video to put together, and I'll be able to get that out there before probably I leave for the trip, or, I don't know. I haven't really thought about the scheduling yet. When I do my vacation video, I'm going to do a thing where I talk about my plans while I am gone, and probably the schedule over that. I'll talk about when some of this stuff is coming. But lots of ideas coming. Now it's just finding the time to do it, because I'm sure you guys are like, hey, you go on a vacation, it's supposed to be a break, right? Yes, but the lead up to it is always frantic, especially when we are trying to fly international during the times of the virus that shall not be named. There was a lot of pain in the ass paperwork and all kinds of things that you have to do, all the hoops you got to jump through to be able to go. But safety first every time, guys. That is me. Let's move on, guys, to a little TV and movie talk before I check out of here for the week. Obviously, like I said, we did watch Stardust. Tried to get my kid to watch with me, and he just he didn't want to put his tablet down. That happens sometimes. We're not going to force him to watch anything. But my wife and I watched it, and we both really, really enjoyed the movie. I don't think I've ever talked to anybody who didn't like the movie. There are a lot of people who are like, it really strays from the book there towards the end. And it does. It does kind of do its own thing towards the end. But both are very enjoyable. I call this like the Shining effect, where both the book and the movie are really, really good. The cast in that movie was really just like surprising. Like Mark Strong, you had Charlie Cox, but I had no idea he did anything before Daredevil. I think he did like L.A. Law or something like that. I can't even remember what he did, but that was just really surprising. Michelle Pfeiffer, God, what's her name? the girl from Homeland, Claire Danes. Claire Danes was in there. I mean, just a star-studded cast. It was a really, really strong cast. I remember Robert De Niro playing a flamboyant pirate. That was one was like, wow, how did you get De Niro for this role? But very cool movie. There's some things expanded upon. Obviously, there's a very, very, very short book, and you got a 2-hour movie here. It was just very, it captured that feeling of it being a fairy tale, I thought, very, very well. So, very high recommend. I don't really have anything to compare it to. I've heard some people say it's kind of like the Princess Bride of that generation. Look, Princess Bride's so dear to me, I can't really say that. But yeah, it's definitely something that I could see being on the rotation over the next few years. And I would like to show it to my kids eventually because as much as we enjoy it, I'm sure they would enjoy it as well. So recommend on Stardust if you haven't caught it. If you're like the only person besides me who hadn't seen it yet. We then decided to have a family movie night, and we let my kid pick, and he picked Dragonheart. I think it's 1996 this movie came out, or 1995. Now, in my memory, I like this movie. Sean Connery is the talking dragon. I am the last one. And Dennis Quaid, who... Hey, I'm Dennis Quaid. No matter what accent I have, I'm always going to talk like this. Everyone in that movie's got an English accent, but he's still just like, I'm just going to talk like this. I'm from Houston, damn it. So, represent. This is a movie that I thought was going to be one of those where it just kind of aged really well in my memory, and you go back and watch it now, and you're like, oh my God, the CGI is terrible. It's actually surprisingly good. I'm like, look, it isn't like the dragon doesn't look like Jurassic Park good or anything like that. But there's never a point where I'm just like, oh, whoa, man, that CGI just like completely took me out of the movie. Very ambitious for the time that it came out. And you guys got to think that in a world before Lord of the Rings, and I think this is still kind of true, is fantasy, you'd have one decent movie and about 10 failures. So the fantasy movies that actually worked, it's hard during that time to remember, more than counting on one hand, that were ones that were really good in the 90s. And that Dragonheart is definitely one of them. And there was not a dry eye in the house for the whole family at the end of that movie. So it's aged really, really well. It still has the same heart that it had back then. And it had, some Harry Potter alums in there. I had Jason... Whoever played Lucius Malfoy, I can't think of the actor's name. Jason Isaacs? Is that his name? Jason Isaacs? And also the gentleman who, Daniel Thewlis, I think he plays Professor Lupin. So nice little connection there. But yeah, great movie if you guys haven't watched it. I don't know if it's streaming anywhere or not. We watched the DVD copy that I still have. And just a phenomenal soundtrack. The soundtrack is just so good. So check it out, guys. If you haven't, Conjuring 3 releases today. I probably won't watch it until the weekend, but some of my patrons have got together. We just a handful, because not all of them are into horror, but they had never watched the Conjuring series. So we watched the Conjuring 1. We're going to watch the Conjuring 2 together tonight over the Discord. So you guys have been thinking about jumping on the Discord, been thinking about joining the Patreon. There's always perks for patrons on the channel. Just a FYI there. But a lot of fun watching that. One of them is someone who has never watched really much horror before. So it's been a fun little experiment there. And in my memory, Conjuring 2 was even better than Conjuring 1, so I'm looking forward to the rewatch of that before my wife and I watch Conjuring 3 this weekend. And Lissy's Story releases today, and yes, I realize I've been saying it Lacey's Story. I've been saying it wrong for like a decade plus now. There was a little short advertisement that Apple put together with Stephen King actually talking about it, and he kept calling it Lissy's Story, and I was like, wow, I've been saying it wrong all this time. But it's kind of got lukewarm reception from critics, and the criticism I'm seeing is that it has a slavish devotion to the source material, and I'm like, that's not a bad thing for me. But, I can't remember the last time critics and I agreed on anything. But my plans, guys, I'm not watching this right away. They're dropping the first 3 episodes, and then they're going weekly after that. I'm planning in July, after all this stuff's done, after the trip's done, all that, I'm going to read Lissy's Story, and then I'm going to binge the television series because it'll be done. So that is the plan. So if you want to read along or watch along, you're always welcome. And guys, that was my week. What are you guys up to? What are you watching? What are you reading? What are you playing? What are you listening to? Drop in the comments and let me know, and have yourselves an awesome weekend.